As a firm owner or project manager, managing the budget remains your most persistent challenge. Engineering salaries, recurring software license fees, and mounting overhead can compress profit margins year after year. You may have already trimmed expenses where possible, but what if the most effective solution requires rethinking your entire operational model? As the global civil engineering outsourcing market grows at 8.5% annually, early adopters are gaining a measurable competitive edge. Imagine accessing a global talent pool, leveraging time zone differences for continuous productivity, and reducing operational costs, while still maintaining or even improving quality. Stay tuned for a quick example of how one firm cut 40% off project costs by outsourcing with AXA Engineers. Before that, let's clarify where your true costs are hiding. Operational costs in a civil engineering firm extend far beyond basic salaries and benefits. Many firm owners and project managers rely on straightforward calculations, adding up base compensation and standard benefits to forecast project expenses. Yet, this approach leaves out a substantial portion of the financial picture: the indirect operational costs that underpin every billable hour but rarely receive direct scrutiny. These hidden costs, ranging from software subscriptions and specialized hardware to professional development and office space, create a foundation of fixed expenses that support all project work, regardless of whether those costs are visible on a project-by-project basis. Take, for example, the recurring expense of essential software. A single annual subscription to Autodesk Civil 3D represents a significant investment per user, and this cost is fixed whether an engineer is at full capacity or experiencing a lull in project assignments. The same holds true for high-performance computer hardware, which is necessary for handling complex modeling and large data sets. Compliance with industry standards and participation in public or large-scale private projects often require maintaining up-to-date, fully licensed software across the entire team, making these recurring costs unavoidable and substantial. Beyond tangible assets, there are intangible but equally impactful drains on profitability. Non-billable activities from internal IT support to compliance training erode your capacity to generate revenue, further amplifying that 40 to 60% hidden surcharge above base salary. Time spent on administrative duties, internal meetings, and professional development is necessary for maintaining operational standards and regulatory compliance, but it does not translate to direct project revenue. These hours, multiplied across your entire team, represent a significant opportunity cost that is often overlooked in traditional budgeting models. When these elements are combined, the true financial burden of each engineer rises sharply. Hidden costs can inflate an engineer's true cost by 40–60% above their base salary, consuming profit margins on every project. This is not a theoretical calculation, it is a direct and measurable impact on your bottom line. A simple model shows that once overhead is factored in, your break-even billable rate can rise dramatically, leaving little room for profit during market downturns. Fixed expenses, rent, software licenses, insurance, and IT infrastructure remain constant regardless of fluctuations in project volume. In times of high demand, these costs are absorbed and may seem manageable. But as soon as project flow slows, the rigidity of this overhead structure becomes a liability. This financial inflexibility makes it difficult to adjust operations quickly in response to changing market conditions. Reducing costs often means resorting to layoffs or cutting back on essential resources, both of which have long-term consequences for team morale and capacity. The inability to scale operational expenses in line with revenue exposes firms to unnecessary risk and undermines long-term sustainability. The result is a business model where substantial resources are tied up in maintaining the infrastructure required for every project, regardless of actual billable work. Recognizing the full scope of these hidden operational costs is the first step toward building a more resilient and profitable firm. The next question is how to transform this cost structure into a strategic advantage. Outsourcing, when approached strategically, becomes a lever for growth rather than a simple cost-cutting exercise. Labor rates in Vietnam run 70–80% lower than US rates, according to ILO figures cited by AXA Engineers. While these numbers often drive initial interest, relying solely on low labor costs can expose firms to significant risks, such as inconsistent work quality or communication breakdowns. The most effective outsourcing relationships move beyond price and focus on building operational resilience and expanding a firm's core capabilities. The true potential of outsourcing emerges when firms use it to achieve flexibility and scalability. Rather than being restricted by the size of your in-house team, you can take on larger or more complex projects without the delays and expenses of recruiting, onboarding, and training new staff. For instance, AXA supported a mid-sized U.S. firm on the Tranquil Valley development, delivering drafting and stormwater design overnight and cutting their schedule in half. This allowed the client to pursue a contract that would have otherwise exceeded their internal capacity, demonstrating how strategic partnerships can open new business opportunities and increase revenue potential. Access to advanced technology is another critical advantage. Partners like AXA Engineers bring licensed Civil 3D and Dynamo expertise without your firm buying software or training engineers. The cost of acquiring, maintaining, and updating these platforms along with the ongoing training required to keep staff proficient can be prohibitive for small and mid-sized firms. Outsourcing transforms these capital expenses into a variable, project-based cost. Teams gain immediate access to specialized skills and tools, allowing you to provide clients with services that would be difficult or costly to deliver independently. Time zone differences also create operational efficiencies that are difficult to replicate with a domestic-only workforce. With a follow-the-sun workflow, your team wraps at 5 p.m. EST. AXA's Vietnam office picks up at 7 a.m. local, so files return updated by your Monday morning status call. This continuous handoff accelerates project timelines, reduces bottlenecks, and supports faster client response times. In an industry where speed and reliability are essential, this operational model can be the difference between winning a contract and losing out to a competitor. The benefits extend to your internal team as well. By outsourcing time-consuming drafting, calculations, and document production, your most experienced engineers can focus on high-value activities. These may include client management, quality assurance, final design review, and business development. This shift not only maximizes the impact of your senior staff, but also improves job satisfaction by allowing them to concentrate on tasks that fully utilize their expertise. Converting fixed overhead into a variable expense is a further advantage. Outsourcing allows you to eliminate recurring costs such as software licenses, hardware upgrades, office space, and training budgets. Instead, these become on-demand operational expenses that scale with your project load. This flexibility strengthens your firm's ability to adapt to market changes without the financial drag of unused capacity or underutilized resources. Studies show that businesses can save up to 40% on operational costs by outsourcing to countries like Vietnam, where labor and operational expenses remain significantly lower. The civil engineering outsourcing market's 8.5% annual growth rate underscores the strategic importance of this approach. Firms that embrace outsourcing as a core component of their operational strategy are better positioned to expand service offerings, improve profitability, and respond quickly to new opportunities. Rather than viewing outsourcing as a peripheral tactic, it becomes a central pillar supporting sustainable growth and long-term competitiveness. This shift in perspective sets the stage for a more deliberate and impactful approach to building a resilient and agile civil engineering practice. As the industry evolves, the conclusion is clear. Outsourcing is now central to a forward-thinking civil engineering strategy. With outsourcing adoption growing 8.5% yearly and the potential to slash hidden costs by up to 60%, firms can no longer treat it as optional. The first step is to evaluate your operations. Distinguish high-value core competencies from standardized tasks that can be delegated. Launch a small pilot project to test workflows and measure results. Start with AXA Engineers. Pilot our transparent pricing and license tools, make it low risk. Comment below if you want a step-by-step guide to launching your first outsourced project. Smart outsourcing will be your next competitive advantage. Unlock scalable growth and win bigger bids.